So when you're deciding to buy a home, you do some research on the market, you read articles, you watch YouTube videos, and you make the best decision you can with the information you have at the time. The problem is there's conflicting information, or more specifically, conflicting interpretations of the statistics that are out there at the time. So if you look at the number of views on any given market video, you'll notice the negative ones, the ones making the bold doomsday predictions, are the ones that are getting hundreds of thousands of views. These folks take broad economic concepts and principles and apply them to micro markets, which just doesn't work all the time. So stick around for a current example. So hi, I'm Stephen Kimos, a local realtor specializing in new construction here in beautiful Port St. Lucie, Florida. Now, let me reiterate what I've said in many other videos. Real estate in Florida more particularly is hyper-local and very specific. For example, in Port St. Lucie, there are 3 geographical markets. One on the east side of 95, one on the west side of 95, and then areas on the coast. Now, each one has its own market pressures and benefits and challenges. So, by the way, Port St. Lucie's weird. The closer you get to 95, the more expensive the homes tend to be, which isn't the same in other markets. Now, on top of that, each area has a further breakdown in the market. It's what I call the situational market. And by the way, those markets overlap a bit. Now, for example, there's the investor market, the family market, the retiree over 55 market, the condo market, and the rehab market, just to mention a few. And as I said, they overlap. Now, some market pressures apply to some geographic and situational markets more than others. And that's why you see such a drastic difference in what's going on with these areas that are just a few miles apart. So let's start by taking a look at some general information. So you can see here, inventory is up on existing home resale in the existing home resale market. So as of January 2025, inventory is near pre-COVID levels. Now keep in mind, new construction builders can slow their building to control their inventory. So while the construction inventory can be up, the new construction inventory can be up, that can change quickly. Now builders hate to do this because they're paying for land and other costs monthly, but regardless, they do have some control over their own inventory. New construction builders also play games with pricing. They tend to not lower prices much, but instead they'll add more incentives, which is in many ways is essentially still just lowering the price. Next piece of information we look at are interest rates. Now, interest rates are holding steady or even up. I mean, they're up significantly since 2023. Now, the pundits have been predicting a larger drop in rates, but it just hasn't happened yet, as inflation is still higher than what's healthy. So the interest rates seem to be holding. Now also, the median household income is increasing, but not enough to keep up with inflation, as you can see in this chart. Now take all that information, inventory up, rates holding steady at higher levels, income not keeping pace. Now apply that info across markets, and what does basic economic common sense say? The market should be coming down significantly, maybe crashing. But it just hasn't happened. I think people feel like they're in the twilight zone right now when it comes to the markets. But take a look at the statistics for January of 2025. Let's see what Redfin and Rocket Mortgage have to say. So Redfin says the overall market is down 0.025% to 1.3% year over year. That's a very small drop in the overall market that's being driven by poor condo sales. Now, the condo market right now is having some trouble. It isn't as healthy as it should be. Now, Redfin goes on to say that 2% of homes are selling below list price and are taking an average of 86 days to sell. So to me, this means people are asking a little too much and the houses are sitting around not selling, and that's why it's taking so long. But here's what makes less sense. Despite what I just said, Rocket Mortgage says the overall prices of sold homes in Port St. Lucie is up 2.4% year over year and up across the entire region, as you can see. So prices are holding steady, dropping a little bit, or maybe even going up in some spots, depending on what study you read and what statistics you look at. So prices are up, but why? There's all kinds of speculation why current prices are holding steady or even going up. and an adherence by YouTube pundits that things will correct. They might be right in some situational and geographical markets, but not in a broad sense at this point. So one observation I have originates when I lived in Maryland during the 2008 real estate crash. At the time, the general broad market was significantly down, but where I lived in Bel Air, Maryland seemed to hold value due to an influx of higher paid government contract workers coming into Aberdeen Proving Ground. The constant influx of people and their moves, paid for by their companies, kept the market artificially high. Now, the same thing's been happening in Florida for decades. Take a look at this chart. You can see certain age demographics are leaving the states. However, if you look to the right of the chart here, you'll see that retirees continue to move to Florida and Port St. Lucie in particular. Most of these retirees come with cash to buy homes, which artificially keeps prices high in the market where other pressures are trying to lower the market. And also, here's another alternative view of what's going on from MFHIN. See the link below for the complete version of the video, but the part I'm referring to and going to show you is from the second half of the video, which kind of gives a different take and a good explanation as anything else of why prices are remaining stubbornly high.
One thing that's not being talked about on YouTube and other social media platforms is the problems with these arguments. There is no denying that prices have been outpacing incomes in a lot of these areas, but my argument is that maybe this is the wrong measurement for valuations. And it all comes down to something I call the privileged class theory. You see, we all love to think that homes in the US are bought by the middle class, but as we are about to see in this country, this may not be true anymore going forward. While Reventure Consulting uses the ratio of median income versus home prices to gauge whether an area is in bubble territory, that measurement may be completely uncorrelated. More and more, we're seeing that only the top 10 to 20% of people or households are even looking to buy a home, and many of these people are receiving help from parents, inheritances, trust funds, or moving from high-value states like California to buying in areas where homes are cheaper. All of these people are not reflected in these income stats. A one-time gift from your parents isn't going to show up in the census report regarding household income, nor will a trust fund, inheritance, or sale proceeds from a different home. Many of these inflated home prices in Florida are being bought by people exactly in these situations. And this doesn't get captured in the graph that is put out by Reventure. I'll give you a real-life example where this concept has already been true for decades. According to Zillow figures, the median home in Honolulu costs $1.3 million, while the median household income is around $94,000. If you do some simple math, you can see that a typical household cannot afford a home here. The mortgage payment would exceed 100% of their pre-tax gross monthly income, and it's been this way for decades. So why hasn't there been a crash there? It's exactly what I mentioned earlier. The money isn't coming from the local population. If it is, it's likely one of the scenarios I outlined above. The buyers are coming from the upper echelon of income levels or find themselves in unique situations that fall outside of household income stats. This is the trend we're seeing throughout the country, and it's something that has already been taking place around the world. Owning a home is becoming more difficult, and it's increasingly reserved for the privileged. Over time, detached homes with land will become even more exclusive. For a glimpse into our future, just look at Europe. There you can find affordable homes in the countryside or small towns, but houses in major cities are priced at astonishing levels, affordable only for the very rich. Normal people in Western Europe don't buy homes in major cities. They either inherit them or receive help. Everyone else rents because owning detached homes with land is simply a privileged position in those societies. This trend is emerging in the United States as well. In rural areas, there are still many affordable options, but closer to cities and in safer neighborhoods, the situation changes rapidly. However, there has been some alarms going off in Florida that is making a lot of people worried that maybe the crash here is already started and this price growth is simply not sustainable despite what I just said. While the rest of the country struggles with low inventory levels, some hotspots in Florida have seen a significant rise in inventory, sparking debates. For instance, Lakeland, Florida has experienced a spike in active listings, drawing comparisons to the 2007 crash. A chart by Lance Lambert shows this trend clearly. New listings in Lakeland are now 30% higher than the 2017 through 2019 average. Additionally, active inventory has soared, transforming what was a tight market in 2021 into an overflowing one with listings left and right. Prices have remained somewhat stable, but buyers have yet to recognize the rapidly changing situation. Despite these shifts, real estate on a local level remains complex. For instance, using Nick's Reventure app, you can see unusual price behavior that defies expectations based on inventory levels. Digging into specific neighborhoods, you can see that in the 33830 zip code, there has been a 127% rise in active listings compared to the same period last year. Despite this increase, home values have risen by 6%, even with double the number of houses on the market compared to last June. A real crash will require distressed selling, which results from foreclosures and short sales. Both of these have been at record low levels in recent years. And if you take a look at this chart by Bill McBride, you can see that while we love to criticize today's market for being an overvalued bubble, the people actually holding these mortgages are healthier than ever. This is happening while insurance costs are rising and interest rates remain above 7%. If we extrapolate from this, it becomes clear that home prices are much more complex than what we think. For buyers to truly feel the pain and force a sell, it will take more than just a simple shift in market conditions. That's just the simple truth. Shown here is the loan-to-value ratio for all outstanding loans in the FHFA database. Today, over 69% of borrowers owe less than 60% of their home's value on their mortgage, and nearly 91% owe less than 80%. This is very different from the housing bubble period, where many people owned more than what their homes were worth. This means that current owners of homes have really no incentive to sell during slow periods. The market can go down by 25%, and most of them will still be above water with their loans. In the Great Recession, the big problem was that people were scurrying to get rid of their homes before their values dropped beneath their loan value, and this phenomenon caused a race to the bottom. Today, we don't have the same problem. Foreclosures are actually near all-time lows. As you can see from this chart, foreclosures in the Great Financial Crisis actually climbed all the way up to nearly 15%. Today, that number is a steady 4.2% with no signs that it will start dramatically climbing anytime soon.
So what do you think? Is this what's happening in parts of Florida? Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. Now, I'm fascinated by what's currently happening in the market. If you were to pin me down, I would say that the market will take a small dip and then hold and adjust to historical norms. But I don't see a huge sudden crash. We're just lacking the components of the bad mortgage situation that brought about the 2008 crash. So for here on out, I encourage you to watch the doomsayers and write down what they say and when it's going to happen in a given market. Then go back and check and see if they were right. Now, they have a better chance of being right if they don't apply their thinking to all markets. But so far, they've been wrong in relation to the specific markets that I deal with. So let's check back in a little while and check the market statistics. In the meantime, if you want to discuss specific situational and geographical markets that fit or apply to you, contact me. My information's on the screen here and in the description below. And I'll see you in the next video. Kind of interesting things to think about, huh? Bye.